Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Uh, so we are discussing the factor of safety. And the concept, why we should have the factor of safety and how actually it helps. As we see here, the trend was not straightforward. It had ups and downs. We'll kind of keep that in mind when we are doing valuation. Now, let's look at the second thing. The second important thing was the net income. If you see the net income, it kind of grew almost by the similar trend, but then it kind of it had some growth, even though the sales of vehicles didn't were somewhat flat, but the income still grew. Other than 16, 17, and 17, 18. Sorry, 15, 16, 16, 17, and 17, 18. So what does that tell you? Obviously, that maybe the sale price per vehicle changed. Let's look at this little ratios that I've calculated that can be helpful here. One second, let me pull it up this way so that you can see. So here it gives you a better picture. So it gives you from 2009 to 18, the sales almost more than double, like almost you can say two and a half times. So from 12,500 crores to 33,000 crores. But the number of vehicles kind of just doubled. So what is happening here is the company has been successful in increasing the average price of their vehicle. So that means the average price per vehicle was 33,959, and in 2018 it's 43,900, which is kind of good. That means they are kind of have a good brand. People are okay, like even if they increase the price, people are still buying it, which can be seen as a good angle. But also one has to be cautious that you can only increase the price to a certain extent. A company's sales, other than if you're something like Apple or something which is like beyond normal, they have limitations to increase their sales by just increasing the price of their product, especially if they are a large scale manufacturer. So you have to be a little bit skeptical when you're keeping this also your analysis. Okay. So now let's get back to our cheat sheet. So now we know the way the company makes money. It is by selling vehicles, and the two important factors are the number of vehicles they sell each year and the price of the vehicle. Okay. Now, after that, let's look at the second important thing is what are the trends? What is the trend of the industry? What is their market share? What, like a 50,000 feet, very high level. That kind of information usually you get in management discussion and analysis. So let's just go to page 52 and just try to browse. What is there. So this is page 42. So let's go there. Okay, I'm still going. Okay, management discussion and analysis. It starts here. Usually, the companies, provide some high-level global economic growth, this, that. I kind of don't pay much attention to these things because they kind of, you know, they're like really high estimates, and it's in the global scale. So, like macroeconomics is something which is kind of some. It will be fine if you can also ignore it for now, because just keep your focus on the fundamentals of the business. So here they are giving you a breakdown, like how the Indian GDP grew each year, and what was the rate of growth, and or what was the percentage and things like that. Again, they give the reasons, like how Southeast Asia, different things, different parts have grown. So they also have some presence, it seems, in Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. Very little though, and they give some information about that, which is okay to follow. But right now we're kind of just going to skip it, and we're going to come down here and look at this one. So this is a really important figure. So what this tells you is how many two-wheelers were sold in India. So this is about 1 lakh, sorry, 1 crore 48 lakhs, okay, in 2013-14, and it has steadily kept increasing. So this number of sales of two-wheelers has actually really kept increasing. So if you see, it has increased almost 30% from 13-14 till 17-18. Now let's get back to their figures here. So if you look at their performance, theirs has not increased so much. From 62 till 75, they have increased, which is kind of, you know, somewhat okay. And they were actually flat these years. So something to actually consider is what might have happened. That means the market is growing, but the company for some period did not grow with it. That means someone else is actually taking up the market share. So obviously, I'm sure if you're analyzing Hero Motors, the main competitor is Bajaj Auto, and also Eicher Motors that has Royal Enfield and TVS. So I would recommend if you're trying to invest in, like, if you have an investment theme of investing in a company that makes two-wheelers, you check out all the four companies and also do a side by side comparison and figure out where you get the best bang for your buck. So obviously I will be covering these three companies also later on in my other videos, but this is something you need to keep in mind. So in 2017-18, in India, almost 2 crore two wheelers were sold. Out of that, Hero Motors had sold 76 lakhs. Now, let's come down here. Oops, sorry. That is one very good piece of information. The second good piece of information is the exports. So the automobile exports from India increased a healthy rate of 16%. So there's a big market for Indian or two-wheelers, especially in South America and in other parts of Asia where they are selling their vehicles. And the, as you can see, they sold around 20 lakh 84,000 in 13-14, and this figure has gone up till about 28 lakhs 15,000 in 2017-18. So it's about you can say in 5 years the trend has been positive. About 40% growth it has happened in during this time, which is pretty healthy. And with sales of the motorcycle category dominated the two-vehicle industry here. So this is also another very good piece of information where it says the motorcycle like segment, the scooters and others are different. That was 66%, and the scooter segment was 21%, and close with 67 lakh units, accounting to 33% of two-wheeler industry. So that's again a positive thing. You're looking at a broader customer preference. So the more a customer is preferring motorcycles, the more is the intrinsic value of this company. You know, but again, here, if you read the security analysis book, Pengram has really laid down many different things. Customer preferences do change, based on things. So one shouldn't put a lot of weightage, especially if it's a positive thing that, oh wow, so everyone is going to adopt to motorcycles and there won't be any scooters 20 years down the line. It's kind of a fallacy, I feel. So always keep a factor of safety and give a good level of this thing that the trend might not continue, and keep that those things in your valuation. So now the next page here, uh, they talk about what are the different launches and things like that, and how they have been sourcing their products and things like that, which is okay, but not we can right now skip uh, that. So another very good point here is the motorcycle segment delivered sales volume of 65 lakh units, a growth of 14%. The company saw its market share further strengthen to 51%, a gain of 40 basis points, further increasing its share by 5% to 45%. And so here it actually tells you there what has been the overall growth, you know, in different like segments of in the country. So it's okay to keep these things in mind. So now, so we have covered two things, right? We figured out how they make the money. We figured out what have been the sales trends in the country. So two things we have figured out. Now let's look at very another important thing that I figured out. It is in the independent auditors report. So the way, if you're not familiar with the breakup of the annual report, is you have the chairman's letter, and then their information about their company's products and things like that. Then you have some about financial highlights, just in broad level, what have been their numbers. Then there's some information about the board of directors, like who's the chairman and things like that. Some other information. Then there is management discussion and analysis, where they talk about the trends in the industry. There is a director's report, which is kind of it's somewhat like it has a lot of some legal stuff with this, that, like, unless until there is something really appealing, I kind of ignore that. But then in the independent auditors report, this has sometimes a very important information. So let's look at one of that, page 153. So let's go to page 153. Yeah, sorry, a little faster here. So this is pretty like an important thing you will need to consider. The company has been in financial dispute, which is not uh, very uncommon. The company of this, like Hero Motors, is the world's largest motorcycle company. So obviously, it will have its own share of financial disputes. So with the central excise law and you know and some income tax and things like that. So these are the amounts in dispute. So as you can see, the last amount, about 7,300 crores, are in dispute from the periods 2008 till now. And the court case is going on in income tax appellant tribunal, and they've paid about 520 of that. So obviously they'll end up paying something more. But so I'm not saying that when you're evaluating, just put this as a liability, but keep like a healthy dose of buffer. That means there'll be a point where they'll end up paying more than what they anticipate. So that's the whole objective, right? So to get these kind of details out of the report and put it in your valuation model. So that was one part. So we got one piece of information that is critical, which you would have missed if you would have just followed a simple looking at financial statements and all. So now let's come here and look at the financial statements in detail. So to start with, if you're not familiar,